Most golfers think they know how far they hit the ball. I thought I did too. Just over a year into playing golf, recently upgraded my clubs, I really thought I knew my numbers. So, before heading to the range, I wrote down exactly how far I thought every club in my bag carried. Then I tracked 150 shots on TrackMan to see how close I really was. Looking back now, some of these predictions were absolutely ridiculous. Welcome to the golf channel. There's not much I've been doing recently. I've had kidney stone removed, so I've not been able to play for a month. But in that time, I have sorted out a new set of clubs. I've got some new Takomo MK2 101 irons. I've got a Sim2 Max 5-wood and a hybrid. I've also got a 54 wedge, and my new set comes with a gap wedge as well, not had before. So I've optimised my bag. The only thing that's left to purchase now is a driver, and then I'm fully clubbed out. Hopefully for the next few years while I try and improve my handicap. So today we're heading to the range to do a bit of a session, basically work out what I hit. So I predicted what I think I can hit everything. You'll see that here. I'm going to basically test and see how that is. Now, I've never properly mapped my distances before when it comes to clubs. I've kind of guessed, and I think a big part of getting your score down from what I'm understanding is really understanding how far you can hit everything, how effective it is, etc. So that is the purpose of today. And what I will be doing, I'll be repeating this experiment every single month, and I'll be kind of tracking my trends and basically trying to optimize so that when I'm on the course, my course management is really improving. We're off to the range. It's Adlington Golf Centre. Today I'm going to be hitting 150 balls. I've used my good friend ChatGPT to help me plan out a good way to maximize this. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be hitting 150 balls. I'm going to do a bit of a warm up. Then I'm going to go through the bag. I'm going to try and take realistic shots. I'm going to track how far they go if I don't, if I tow them or if I heel them or whatnot. And then I'm going to use that data over time to optimize my course management. Enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. So I arrived at Adlington Golf Centre, absolute glorious day. Got set up on the range with my cameras and my laptop, and once I got through the warm-up and started tracking everything, I quickly realised that this wasn't going to be the clean little distance chart I thought it was. In my head, I kind of had imagined I'd leave with a nice tiny spreadsheet, every club would be spaced out perfectly, and I'd suddenly know exactly how far everything went. Well, reality was a bit different. What surprised me most wasn't the distances themselves. Some of them are wrong, definitely, but not by as much as I expected. The bigger thing was seeing how inconsistent some of the clubs actually were. Before today, if you'd asked me how far I hit my driver, I would have comfortably said 170 yards. Then I looked at the data. That's probably the biggest thing this session exposed. Most golfers don't remember their average shot, they remember their best one, and I'm definitely guilty of that. The same thing started happening when I got into the longer clubs. I expected my 5-iron, hybrid and 5-wood to have pretty clear gaps between them. Instead, they were kind of all fighting for the same job, which is probably why I've had so many situations on the course where I stand over a shot and have absolutely no clue which club I should be pulling out. The wedges were actually one of the more positive takeaways. The 54 and 58 weren't perfect by any means, but the numbers were a lot more consistent than some of the longer clubs. And honestly, that makes sense because they're the clubs I probably trust the most. The other thing I noticed is how different golf feels compared to what the data actually says. There were shots where I hit that I felt awful that ended up being completely usable, and there were shots that I absolutely flushed that made me think I'd unlocked some new level of golf, only for the numbers to basically tell me to calm down. By the time I got to the end of the session, I wasn't really looking at the spreadsheet thinking, how far do I hit my 7-iron? I was looking at it thinking, which clubs do I actually trust? Which clubs need work? Where are the gaps in my bag? And where am I probably lying to myself a little bit? Because honestly, that's what this whole session ended up becoming. Less about distance and more about getting a more honest picture for my golf game. So, with the help of my good friend ChatGPT, I've created this spreadsheet. So basically, as I went through the session, I tracked every shot in accordance with my plan. There's a caveat here. If the shot was useless and I couldn't use it, then I didn't track it. So what you'll see in the data is actually, in fact my hybrid, there's not one good shot because essentially I couldn't hit it properly. That's the first thing. Regardless of that, you can see the data is just here. I'll start off with what I expected, and you can see that there. This is what I expected. Was somewhat optimistic. I've been playing for a year and a half, a bit over the top in terms of my expectations. I also tracked how offline it is, etc. Offline, which I'm still learning what that means, but I think they're essentially coordinates for the shot shape. Once I got all this data here, which I've highlighted, I could just copy and paste, and I just chucked it into ChatGPT. So I'll take you through that report at the end. Then I also captured what kind of strike I got, and I just did that off feel. Now the whole purpose, as I touched on earlier, was to kind of learn how far I could hit, but also at the same time I want to use this information to take onto the course. At the level I'm at, I'm a year and a half into playing golf. I'm finding that there's some clubs I can hit, so like my shorter clubs I can hit a lot better than my longer clubs. Now what surprised me the most was my driver. I thought I hit that a lot further. Now bear in mind I had about a month out of properly playing, so maybe that's an impact, but it's nice because I've got a lower base, so if I keep up the consistency, when I come to do the exercise at the end of next month, because it's going to be something I do at the end of every month, I'll be able to see nice steady improvements. And yeah, I wanted a nice clean distance chart. I didn't get that. Here is my stock carries and averages based off this session, and as you can see there's a lot of crossover. My 5 wood and my hybrid, I can't hit them at all. That was a bit of a shame, but everyone's got to start somewhere, right? So the long clubs told me that at the minute they should probably stay in the back. I need to do a lot more work before I can pull them out. My pitch wedge, gap wedge and 54 were brilliant. My 8 and 9 as well, I was pretty happy with those. Once I get to 7, I can hit my 7 all right, but there's a bit of crossover in my 7 and 8. My 6, I had like one good shot. My standard deviation is showing that my most consistent club at the minute is my 8 iron. So I'll be pulling out that out the bag a lot more than often. What you'll also notice from the data is that as I go further down the clubs, there's a lot less entries, and that's because I was just struggling to hit them. I don't know if fatigue creeped in as well at the end of the session, because I was there for 2 hours and my longer clubs came towards the back end. So I do wonder if the fitness that I'm at the minute, which is something I'm working on, whether that's impacted that ability. My biggest lesson is when I come to taking a club out of my bag, am I remembering the best shot or the average shot? And closing that gap is going to really improve my game. So what changes now? Well, first off, I need to get some lessons, especially for my woods. I've watched tips, I've watched clips, I've had a few good shots, but my longer clubs need some work. I need to repeat this exercise every month. We're now going to go through my report. So I put this data into ChatGPT. First of all, it's telling me the issue is not my distance. The issue is strike quality and consistency, especially once I go beyond pitch wedge and 9 iron. Short game and scoring clubs are showing signs of being useful, so that's good. Bad news is longer clubs are currently costing me a lot of yardage, and basically they're useless. What is the point in pulling out a 5 iron when I'm average carrying less than my 7 iron? I might as well hit my 7 iron, right? So having this information is going to really help me with my score. There's stuff to do longer term in terms of improving my skill level and my swing, but in terms of course management, knowing these facts, I can tangibly sit there on the course or stand there on the course and go, right, this is 160 yards or whatever. I should be able to hit as 5 on that. I can't at the minute. So it's time to pull out the 7. Big problem I've got as well is my carry overlap. What you can see there is there's massive crossover. Once I go past 7, I'm actually hitting it less far. And on average, I'm not hitting as many consistent shots. You've got to remember, my 7 iron has got a lot more data than my 6 iron because I couldn't get that many good shots. Now, my reality driver check, as you can see, I've told it before that I've hit a 250 yard drive, which I definitely have because I measured it. But as you can see from the data, I was getting nowhere near that. 166, 143, 165, 184. Average total, 161. Now, the woods and the hybrids, this is the most useful data for me, because basically what I've learned is I can't hit them at the minute. So I need a lesson. I need some training there. My best clubs are my pitching wedge, my gap wedge, my 54 and my 58. So the game I should be playing to lower my score is basically just hitting my shorter clubs, playing it safe and just making my way down the course. Another thing, so dispersion pattern. So one thing that's jumped out immediately, you're missing right a lot with the longer clubs. That suggests face open, weak release, possible over the top move. Now you can see here my baseline distances off the back of this session. You can see that my hybrid and 5 wood and driver are unknown because there's some work to do. Not so much on the driver, but definitely on the 5 wood and the hybrid. So to summarize, I didn't hit things nowhere near as far as I thought I did. Here's what I thought I'd hit. Here's what I actually hit. I will use this on the course because it will help me lower my score because I won't be taking hero shots on. And the key taken out of this session is that I need to go and get some lessons to learn how to use my woods. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next one.